So, hello and good afternoon for the first introduction seminar in 2015 for our successor model of the HM150, the new HM200. Instead of doing a PowerPoint presentation to you, I have a prototype of the camera here. The HM200 will launch in March, and therefore here we can have a first look to the camera body itself, and let me show you the unit. This is a very compact camcorder, full powered with lots of feature, including IP technology. So we take benefit from our 650s and from the 850 series and bring that into that single chip camcorder here, and it's a fantastic successor of the HM150. The full focus on this camera, of course, is on the HD recording, but this camera has also the capability to do UHD recording, or the 4K recording, up to 30p. But let me explain you a little bit more in detail when we go through to the camera body, and that is what I like to do with you. Before we start with that, I like to give you an information that our new camcorder LS300, we have a webinar already planned. This is a very special seminar because it's planned in 2 days, split in 2 days, one for the camera body and the other one is for the optics. And that was originally planned on 5 and 6 of February. So I changed the schedule a little bit ahead. So the seminar new schedule will be 3 and 4th of February. I already changed the information here. When you look to the website, you look into the webinar schedule, you can see the new dates. So again, from 5 to 6 is changed earlier to 3 and 4 for the LS300, a very exciting product, of course. So let's coming back to that unit, and we start here with the front end with the lens. So we give this new camcorder here a 12 times optical zoom lens with the capability of 2 times dynamic zoom. What means dynamic zoom? Dynamic zoom means we have a very high resolution CMOS sensor with backlight illumination with around about 12.4 megapixel resolution. So we can use, in case of HD, we can use the more pixel we have to do lossless electronic zoom without getting jagging and anything. So you have a lossless additional 2 times more zoom. So when we calculate the lens itself, which has optical image stabilizer and also the capability for autofocus, when we calculate that field of view from the 20.9 millimeters up to 354 millimeters, equivalent to a 35 millimeter lens. The sensor itself is around about 1.5 inch sensor with backlight illumination, and it needs around about 1 lux minimum light illumination, so it's also good for low light conditions, especially with the super low lux options, which is built into this camcorder. When we look into the whole structure, it's very compact. As I mentioned you before, it's a real successor of the HM150. When we're looking in detail here to the front end, that is, you see all this, the bottoms here. We have a built-in ND filter, which is a 2-type ND filter. It's a quarter and it's a 1/16 of the ND filter. If you need additional ND filter or any other filter, the filter diameter in front of the lens is about 62 millimeters. Furthermore, you can see here on the bottoms, which is the full auto mode or a manual mode selection here, you have slightly small numbers. Now let me zoom that in quickly in for you, this, and you can see here that all the bottoms have here focus assist -1 or time code -2. That means all these bottoms which have additional number can be pre-selected with your own choice. So you have in the menu an option, create your own function to that, like say color bar or shutter or something else, whatever you like to have on the bottom you can select. Furthermore, we have a top here, you can see we have a built-in stereo microphones built in. This is in the case you use that without the handle. The HM200 comes with this handle, and that gives you a professional option for the audio selection, including XLR audio input. Furthermore, you will see, I will do you a quick change. It's very handy. So if you remove that, you can see you can still have microphones available here. You have also an external audio input for additional audio, but you can make it very compact. If you don't need it, you can see here is the grip. You have your XLRs and all the connection to this grip, including the digital connection and analog connections, is made on the bridge here. So it's easily just put it on, put it back, screw it, and then you have all the connection done. So it's very handy, no cabling, additional cabling to get the connection over there. Furthermore, here in the front area we have this nice ring. You can select it with different feature, but this is mainly used for the iris setting when you want to do manual iris, and also there is a push button here for the traditional auto white balance. If you don't want to have the auto white balance here, like you're running automatic mode, you want to select this button for something else, like additional record button or something else, you can select that also there. Furthermore, here's the adjustment for the iris manual automatic. You have the traditional switchers here for the gains, low, middle, and high, and you have the white balance function as usual as on normal camcorder. Includes here the optical image stabilizer, the exposure level, the shutter level, and the adjustment for the shutter is already there. Power on off on here, and here we have the mute button. The mute button is necessary to change the camcorder between playback and recording. And when we look a little bit to the audio side, the professional audio side, let me put that a little bit in focus here. Put that away, and let's have a closer look to that setup. So you have full professional audio features. There's this very secure thing on this clock. You see here you have your audio selection, internal, input 1, input 2. You can select each channel separately. For example, input 2, an external microphone. By the way, the external microphone is not attached. It is something which you have in addition. You can use any shotgun microphone, which I prefer to use instead of the internal mics. The internal mics is more for an emergency case, whatever. If you not have them, if something happened with the external microphone or whatever, or you want to use it without the handle, then of course then the internal microphone works well. But in case of professional audio recording with the microphone, I prefer that you use an external shotgun microphone. The second input you can use from any external source. Therefore, you can select which kind of input format you have: line, normal microphone, for example, electric microphone with already battery drive, or you have a microphone which needs phantom power, so you can select the phantom power. Auto manual selection, same for each channel separately, and here you are resistors which you can do your audio level adjustment. Of course, in the LCD menu you have also professional audio indication and audio level meter. Where we are just on the top, let's have a small look to the top area on this camcorder. You have here additional record trigger. You have additional zoom rocker, but this is not a variable speed, this is fixed speed, and the speed of this rocker level you can set up here, low, middle, and high. And what means low, middle, and high? That we have a software option. You can set up your speed, in which range this speed should operate. That is adjustable by the software. Of course, we have also a zoom and telewide rocker, which is variable. This is on the hand grip, but on the top grip here, this is fixed speed depending on these settings. So let's go back to the body, and let's have a look when we open the LCD screen here. Here's our LCD screen. Let's go a little bit front like this. I think we can see everything, I hope. So you have all necessary items to do the adjustment. You have your nice LCD screen here, you have the menu button here, the cursor key and the return key to do your menu setups. And inside we have here a slot which is covered for dust and dirties. So you can open the slot here, and that is for our SD card. All the GBC camcorders works on SDEC or SD XC SD cards, and this is a very common format. It's very cheap. You get it everywhere. Even you need a last-minute new memory card, you can buy it everywhere on the airport. You can buy it on a Simple's Electronics Store or Photoshop. In case of 4K recording, I come in later to that and give you a little bit more detail to that. The 4K recording is a single file recording with 150 megabit per second, so you need here a little bit dedicated SD card, but don't worry, it's not too much special. I will explain you where you have to look for. Furthermore, on this one you have the slot selection, which is this one, where you can select I want to record in slot A or slot B. But this camera, of course, has a continuous recording or backup recording, and also it's possible to do a hot swap. So when this card is full, you can remove it, put the next one in, and it runs continuous. Furthermore, the bottoms here, like Lolux bottoms and review bottoms, Zebra, display settings, status information, all this is very handy to come on here. The status and the display buttons are very important. Display information, you can select which kind of information you want to have here on the screen. For example, the level meters, status information of the network, your card information, all this you can select here. And the status information gives you an overview on your completely camera setup, including the received IP technology. I mentioned it to you, the GVC camcorder series like the 600, 650 and the 850 and 890. We have a full capability of IT technology in that for live streaming, for FTP transfer and remote transfer. And this is very special because the new hardware here this has a lot of new capability, especially on the IT section. Okay, that gives us a short overview, and again you can see here there are small numbers being also these bottoms you can select in any dedicated function which you want to like. Let's have a look to the back side. This is our viewfinder. You can slot that away like this, put it up. So you have a very common handy position when you like to work with the viewfinder. The battery case here is using a professional IDX battery, SSL 50 or SSL 75. We have two batteries. The new larger one have a more capability, also a DTAP output for additional, like say additional lightning which you want to do or not. So we have detailed information on that already on the website. Furthermore, we have a rubber here. We can remove the rubber. Let's have a look to that. So if we remove that, you have additional connections. First of all, you find a traditional AV connection. Well, why this is one? This is a 3.5 millimeter mini jack, typical AV cable which you get in the market if you need that. So there is two audio channels out and normally composite PAL video signal, necessary if you're somewhere in a hotel and there's no HDMI connection and just a video connection, so you can use that as an output. By the way, all the camera features have a download, the down converting items, so even you have HD or 4K, it will be down converted and will be visible, controllable over these outputs. Here's the headphone output. If you want to check your audio settings, your microphone settings, and you work with a headphone, you can connect your headphone here. We have an auxiliary audio input. This is necessary if you remove the handle. You don't want to use the internal microphone. You have an external microphone still, but then you need a 3.5 millimeter mini jack. The next one is a remote function. There's also a mini jack here, and it's a full length compatible remote control input. The DC input, which is not for your power supply. When your battery is there, it could be charged, or you have the separate IDX battery charger. The bottom here is for the battery release, which you see on top, and there we have our typical handle with the record button. When we turn around the camera, go to the next step here, there comes a very unique, which I mentioned you before. We see on top here is I already connected the Wi-Fi dongle. This is a USB host connection, and let me do the discovering here a little bit away, and I move the camera a bit so you can see that. That's the host connection. It's a USB port, and this host connection is able to use that for a wireless adapter like you see here. It's also able for the cable connection or to do it directly GSM dongle and you go to the 3G or 4G LTE network directly built in. So why this is an adapter and it's not directly built inside the electronic? Well, first of all, you can select which kind of dongles you want to use. You see this is a very tiny Wi-Fi dongle, and I take my hand to that. You can see how it looks. So it's a really tiny dongle, but it's up to you. Depending on the environment, you can use a larger one for better connection. You can make a cable extension, do even a bigger one with external area, or any other adapter which you like. So it's free selectable. When you build in Wi-Fi and you put your handle here somewhere, so you're covering the signal. For example, I do my hand, I will fully cover the Wi-Fi transmission and reduce the transmission rate, so that's bad. So that any dongle is free selectable, and also gives you the choice to go directly into a cable IT network, which is very interesting with this camera we see later. So we turn it around, and on top you'll be coming back to the handle here. We have an additional record bottom here, which is also free selectable. You see there's again the small number. We have our zoom and focus rocker level with a variable speed depending on your pressure. And of course we have here expanded focus. This is a very interesting expanded focus feature with a selected screenshot, which I show you later when we see the screen. Let's go a little bit more in front. Again, we have here security rubber here for the dust. We can open that, and here you find on this camcorder you find a regular USB connection, but this USB connection is just for the file transfer. If you don't want to remove your SD card, for example, you have your camcorder close to your laptop and you want to simply transfer and you don't have a card reader, so you can simply use a USB connection to your laptop and can transfer your files to your PC. This is the HDMI output, is selectable in the software, and this depending you want to use HDMI or, and this is very special on this camcorder, and it's a big difference to the GY HM150, we have here directly built an SDI output. So this is a 3G output, that means it supported 1080p. If you want to have a live output, 4K shooting, and HD output for a control monitor or for a projection device or whatever, this output supports a down converted 4K output. So that's a general overview of the connection of the camcorder. Then let's go a little bit more into the detail on the menu structure when we're looking to the camera here. And that's the good thing, because we take all the knowledge which we have from our next step and top level camcorders, the GY HM600, 650 and the 850 and the 890. We put all this informations or this experience what we already have into that camcorder. So if you already have a 650 or experienced that one, you can see it's the same menu structure as on that camcorders which we had before. And when we look to it, let's have a little go through to the menu and software items. And first of all, let us know what we can do, what kind of recording system we can use. We go to the record set here and go to the record format. First of all, you can select here the record format, 4K, again 4K up to 30p, 24p, 25p and 30p. HD, you can go up to 1080p 50 or 60p in H2 422 with 50 megabits, and it uses AVC HD format, which is more efficient codec than the MPEG. So you get actually better big picture result in AVC HD 422 50 megabit as an equivalent MPEG recording. Also, you have the option for SD, and this camcorder has also the capability to make a double recording. That means on card number 1 HD format, and on the second card you can select any kind of web format. Let's have a quick view when we change to that HD and web format. You can see I have for the main card number 1, I can use QuickTime or AVC HD as a recording format. I can select up my resolution 1920 1080 or 720p, can select up my frame rate with 1080i or 50p or 60p, even 24p or 25p. Furthermore, when we have this double mode here, HD plus web, we can go to the second card. We can also set up which kind of format we want to have. We want to have a QuickTime or ABCHD. And by the way, it's very interesting when you record in the QuickTime. So if you have these web files, you immediately can then play back on your Apple smartphone, so that's fully compatible. By the way, these web formats like here, this is half HD resolution. We can go to SD resolution, or we can go to a lower resolution, 480 by 270 pixels. This is excellent to make a breaking news, or just you want to use the camera for the web application and you run through it with a less resolution. By the way, this camera is a perfect tool for video journalists or for the people who wants to do documentation, wedding for example. And with the IP capability and the live streaming capability, it's also an excellent camcorder when you're working with web TV, for the news, web TV event, etc., music or whatever which you want to try or transfer directly to your website. So everything is built in, you don't need additional hardware except a 3G or 4G dongle and a network dongle, depending on your settings. Well, this is just an overview for that one. We don't want to change that. And let's see for the record format. When we go to the 4K format, you can see we have the this QuickTime format, and we can select here the frame rate 24, 25 or 30p. Well, this, when we change to 4K resolution, then we create a single file. And maybe some of you already have known our Hdmi HM200, which was one of the first compact 4K camcorder, but it records on 4 SD cards. This time is gone, so this machine here records the 4K as a single file with 150 megabit to the SD card. And I checked it also with the NLE system. As long as the NLE system supports 4K, you simply can edit. You not have to merge the files or whatever. Just put the files in, drag and drop to your NLE. For example, I tested with Idios. That's no problem to do that. Or with Final Cut X, easy to do it. Even the file could be played when you like to play the file somewhere else. You can use, for example, on a PC, VLC player, and it plays perfectly your 4K content. Well, of course, we have here a selection which kind of slot mode we want to have. We can have dual recording, backup recording. That's a typical when we have a 2-slot system. The backup recording, for example, to secure your content when it's highly important, or you want to do continuous recording, etc. That's all this set up for the recording. Maybe here's one important thing is the 4 GB spanning for SDXC card. This is this row. So what does it mean? Normally, from the structure of an SD card, every 4 GB, the file will be split into another file. And don't worry, it's absolutely lossless. So there is no audio missing, no video missing. But it's the file, it's split. But the SDXC card have a different file format, and that allows us to go over this file spinning. So you can record until there is no more memory on the card before it gets split. So that is up to you if you want to make a large single file or you want to split it every 4 GB. But it's depending on the SD card you use. SDHC needs to have the spanning, so every 4 GB it's divided, and SDXC card you can make large files as long as you have memory. Also, very interesting feature for that one is a timestamp here. This is good for people who want to do documentation, so the camera can build into the screen and timestamp information. Well, that's a short overview of the record side. Let's go to the next item here, to the AV settings. Here is our video output setting. We can select, we want to have this information here on screen just for demonstrations, or we can select which kind of output we want to use, HDMI, SDI, HDMI plus SDI. This is selectable, or the resolution, what we use, 1080p. And in case of HDMI, we can select, when we are in the 4K mode, we can select 4K output on the HDMI. And the HDMI, its minimum request, the HDMI 1.4a or HDMI 2.0 on the display section, and you use an HDMI 2.0 DVI cable, and you can go to a TV screen to see the 4K live image. This is just a single cable. Well, there are some other features for the enhancement of the output. We go not everything in the detail, and the time will be not enough. Then go to our audio settings. We have professional audio setting, highlight which microphone you want to use, which kind of reference level you want to use, 20 dBs, 18 dBs, 12 dBs, etc. All this is adjustable very easy for that one. Also limitation, the limiters you can set up, or you have ring cut which you can select, etc. and you use an external microphone. It's depending on your setting. And if you want to do monitoring, stereo, manual, level, test tone, everything is built in what you need for doing the good audio recording. Next one is the LCD and viewfinder setup. Well, this is just an information where you want to, what kind of information you want to see on the LCD. For example, the shooting assist, which is you can select it on and off. You can select which type you want to have. It will should be color, blue, red, or green. You can select your zebra, your level, etc. All these other major settings, which helps you to do the best focusing. Also marker setting and display general main setups. So you have what you want to show in that display area. You can select your focus meter, white balance indicator, etc. All this you can select on and off. In this case, for example, in our sample, everything is already on the screen. Time code select and go over. Then the video processing is important. You have your detailed setups, your master blacks, your black stretch is in that one to optimize the knee level you have here. The sensitivity, how the knee should be reacted, the white clip setting, the gamma levels, and VDR is the wide dynamic range, which is very interesting setup in case you're going to a museum and there is maybe the room is not good lighted, but the objects are very bright light from a spotlight on the top, so you can go there, use the VDR that you see still your room environment, and you have not overpeaked your object what you're going to shoot. But this is a very dedicated setup depending really on that what you're going to shoot on. Color matrix adjustment, all this gain, color gain, etc. That's your basic setting in the progress menu. What is very interesting is the camera function menu, because there are your regular settings which you have, like optical image stabilizer, flicker correction depending on external lens, 50-60 Hz when you visit other countries, and the exposure speed, what you have, and the limitation for that one, the auto iris limit, open and close, you can select, etc. Smooth transition, all this function. By the way, you can see that this is a very complex menu, and maybe you like to have a dedicated menu for yourself, and you say, oh, I don't need all this, I must search all these items, I want to select my own menu. It's very simple. For example, if you want to control the autofocus here, full auto wide, full auto wide, and you want to make a dedicated own personal menu, you can see you have display favorites, and display favorites is your private menu. And here we have a user button. That means press user button 3 to edit, which I want to do. This is here inside the user button, and then the system asks me, well, you like to edit to your favorite menu? I think yes. And when we display the display menu again, you can see you have your own favorite menu, and when I go menu on and off, you can see it's only your private menu, and you put in all that function what you need for yourself and not needed to do anything else. So it's very comfortable to create your own menu for the daily use of your operation. If you want to have back, just simply press the display button again, and you are in the system menu in the more complex menu. In the camera function menu, there is something which is quite interesting, what I'd like to show you in case for the autofocus, because this is always asking again and again. And you can see here is your handle zoom speed, which I talked before for the level here on top. And let's go down to the focus assist. First of all, we have a selection, focus assist of near and far. What does it mean, near and far? If you have a camera running in autofocus, you are normally not able to take any action to the lens. If we go to far and near, you're always allowed to use the front ring, and you can change the focusing accordingly. When you want to change something slightly in focus which the automatic then maybe not recognized. So that allows you to take manual short adjustment to the autofocus, or you go from a distance from the object, so you want to some what's the artist effect when you're working with the focus. So you during the autofocus running, you have a manual opportunity to go into that menu. So the other one is the area selection. Area selection is a very nice tool, and with the area selection we have also here a speed selection. And why is necessary on the autofocus to have speed selection? Well, it's depending on what you're shooting. If you are in the church and you make a shot and you're sitting in the front row and you go to the second row, and then maybe you want to have that the autofocus is not reacting to the second row, or takes a time before it reacts. And when you do sports, it's fast running, people running out, you need higher speed for the autofocus controlling. So it's up to you what you like to use, and it gives you an option, because automatic has some limitation, and the automatic sometimes do other things that we maybe expect to do, so you have a choice here to adjust your automatic features. But coming back to this area selection which we have, I go out of the menu, and you can see here this area, this part, and you see this small, now let me zoom that a little bit in for you, maybe that's better, okay, like here. So you can see that exactly here, the dot. So what does it mean? I go in the front ring of the lens, and keep in mind, we have a wedding shot outside, nice day, and we have that nice girl which is maybe in this area, and on the background we have some nice green and we have some trees around. So what happens when we have a normal autofocus system is that the autofocus normally concentrate to the center area. That means it could be that everything, the trees and everything is in focus, but the girl is unsure. Normally when I would do this shot, I never would use autofocus again. I do more professional work and use a manual focus. But of course, so a lot of people likes to use the autofocus. But we want to give them an option that you can work with the autofocus like you do without the automatic feature. So if you turn the front zoom focus ring, so you get the display menu on it, and you can select which area the focus should be controlled. You can see that now this small cursor is moving to the right, and now our autofocus is concentrated on that picture area here. If we want to have that same on the other side, like here, we moved it to this, and the autofocus will concentrate to that area. If you want to be back in the siders, just a small turn around on the iris ring, and we go back in this thing. Let me show you that what I mean with the iris ring, that is here our camcorder, is just simply turn the ring left and right, and when you're looking here, maybe you can see it, then it's moving. So such easy it is to control your automatic features on that autofocus area. So again, to the left, to the right, or to the left, you can select that kind of feature. Well, furthermore, if you have high resolution and you want to do manual focus, let me switch the camcorder here to the manual operation of the iris. So now you can see I can change here my iris level, but you want to have a better focusing. Well, you can use the normal focus assist feature when you switch that on, and then you get these typical black and white pictures, and everywhere when we are in sharp process, you can see you get then blue lines. So for example, you can see here the backline when I focus on this one, so then I'm in focus on this level. Yeah, so that is my selection. My distance here is not so far, so I have not so much option to show that in detail, but I think it's clearly visible when I'm in focus or not. Well, somebody likes to see the real image and do the focusing, and I want to coming back to the expand focus. Keep in mind, I showed you that before. This is this bottom here in front. This is the expand focus, and let's see how the expand focus works on that camcorder here. So I push the expand focus, and then it's a zoom up of the image. And what's new on this camera, you see this small window, And this small window is selectable by the cursor key here on the side. So have a look when I move the cursor, and you can see the screen. So you can select your part on the screen where you really like to focus on. So then it's make easy to do your focusing on a real live image. So this is another way to do manual focus in the best way, and it zooms up, especially when you're running in that mode. So it gives you a lot of help to make a clear focus instead of using the color bars. Well, that's some additional nice features for that one. Okay, let's go back to another point on this camcorder. Let's go to the IP side. Well, I give you a short overview on this one because normally we take some couple of hours to explain that. I already made webinars for the HM200 regarding network and also 850 network, so you can watch or review these files, and gives you also additional explanation which is downloaded on YouTube and on the web for my webinars. Let's have a look to the network itself and what is changed. When we go to the settings, we can set our web browser. I'll show you later this. This is for the live streaming. This is for the connection setup. This is the first thing what you have to do to build your connection to your network. This is metadata server. So this camera is able to get metadata from a dedicated server. You can pick it up from your station. Or you have the clip server with Ftp Transfer, which is an excellent feature to transfer your recorded file directly from your place to any point in the World Wide Web via FTP. And the benefit of FTP, it doesn't take care which kind of file format, which kind of resolution you have. You can transfer the file. It's only a question how good your web connection is, and that takes the time, and how big your file is to transfer it. But FTP transfer is like a PO box, so you transfer anything what is in the PO box to the endpoint. Well, let's have a look to the live streaming and what is changing on this camcorder. When we go to the live streaming, first of all, you find the Action streaming server, and that is a very nice new item here. We can select here these 4 different server platforms. In the previous camcorders, we have, like the 650, you have only one single adjustment. For example, if you want to stream to a VLC player locally, you have a different setup. If you want to stream to a UDP area, then you have a different setup. Or you want to stream to 6E, also you have a different setup. And all the time you have to renew your files, which is not necessary anymore. When you go in, you can select your name. This is free selectable, like here PCD could be, let's say, my channel number 1 or my channel number 2, it's up to you. You can select which kind of transmission format you want to have, UDP, TCP, RTSP, 6E with the error correction, or which is brand new, and that is really the new fantastic thing on this one, it supports real-time media protocol. What means real-time media protocol? This camcorder is able directly to stream to most CDN video hosting networks. Also, you can stream directly to YouTube, or you can stream directly to Ustream. So you not have to call somebody, can you open me a UDP port, because this is something special. So now this camera is able to make a direct connection to the CDN. I can go on tour as long as I have an internet connection. I can stream directly to my Ustream channel, for example. Ustream, you can make a test channel for yourself, costs nothing, and you have your channel. If you want to have more users, of course you have to pay something, but directly from the camera to that Ustream without any additional hardware, you can stream, and this is a real big benefit. In case you use the camcorder in cable networks, maybe you use UDP transfer, and you have to select up your destination address. You see I have to input here with this cursor these IP addresses, but there is a much more comfortable way to make this editing, which I'll show you in a minute. Also the stream key here in case of the RTNP stream. The only thing what you have to match after this is you have to select to which server you want to go, one of your presettings. and then you have to select your resolution, because this is not stored, because this is a system setup, is depending which system you're running. In the case of 4K recording, you cannot stream. Streaming is only possible when you are in HD, SD mode, one of these two. We have a lot of resolution setups. It goes from 1080i, 720p, SD, and also a web format. And also for the frame rates, we go up here from 0.3 mega, even lower, 200 kilobit per second. And this 200 kilobit is usable in case you have a vegan satellite connection. That means you are in the desert and you want to make transmission. Of course, the frame rate is low, but the audio is good. So you can still make a reportage from that area to your broadcast station or directly to the web for breaking news by a simple satellite telephone. Or you can go up to very, very high speed. And you see this is the previous firmware, but on the product release in March, we can go up to 12 megabit per second in HD. That means by 12 megabit you can use here an Ethernet connection cable. If you are somewhere on an event place, you want to have a decoder on the other side, like a Teratech decoder or Whitetech decoder, you can go up to 12 megabit UDP into the network, hook up your camera to the IP network, and you can do excellent HD streaming directly from the camera without having separate encoders. You only need to have a decoder. Or you go to a software like VLC player directly on your PC. So there's a lot of option for that, what you can set up into the live streaming, and really this is one of the biggest benefit, directly stream to use YouTube or to Ustream directly here from the camcorder. Well, furthermore, as I explained you before, we have the clip server here and we have the web remote. Now let's have a small look to the web remote. Let me go out of this menu and we change a little bit the view. I put the camcorder here. So, and I'm coming back to the USB host, which you have seen before. Here's my Wi-Fi dongle, and I'm in the Wi-Fi network here. And what I need is just a simple smart or tablet. It could be smartphone. I could use my smartphone. I could use my tablet. I don't need a dedication application for this camcorder. So it's the same as on the 650, 850, which we have. This is a web service, or a web server which is already built in this camcorder, and the only thing what I need is a web browser. I need to have the web connection to the camera. That could be go over an access point, or it could be here a point-to-point connection. Let me just renew the application. And what is the benefit on that setting is I don't need a monitor, and as you can see, I'll have some reflection on here. Let me move that a little bit like this. I hope you can see that. Let me put that a little bit in. So you can actually see, this is the LCD from the camcorder, and you can see we have a live image already here on my tablet. As long as I do not live streaming, I can get a live streaming here, so that's my monitor. If I do an interview, have the camcorder on a tripod and do an interview with a person, and the camcorder is 10 meters away or something like that, how you can control it. You want to have an external monitor, take long cables with you, is not needed. If you have a power P2P, use a tablet like here, and you get your control monitor. Furthermore, you have your setups here for your remote. So can do presetting, and you can have a smooth transition into that zoom area. You can make a pre-selection and just press a simple button, and you easily can set up your lens. You can do here your presetting. And what's also new on this remote this time is when you scroll that a little bit up, the image still there. We have on the first page also built in all the remote control function for the camera. So I can select here full auto on off, for example, exposure level, the iris level. I can set up my shutter. I can do even white balance directly from my tablet. And I have also the choice to do white painting, like a very expensive RC woods directly built in. For example, I press green, immediately it will green. You can see that here, or you see that on there. I can do really painting on my screen just by the tablet. Well, easy thing for fully complex remote control. You can do focus, you can have a selection of the user switch and the menu. If you have a larger PC, for example, to control that, you can open certain windows and you can have a real studio remote controller. Well, all these functions here you can control as long the camera has an official IP address. I'll show you that what I mean with an official IP address. But there's more. We have also, when we click here, we have the basic settings of the camcorder, especially for the live streaming. And if you remember to do the key address for the RTMP, for example, I select any area which I want, and I can do here my comfortable IP address setting. For example, if I want to have a URL here for the RTMP, simply drag and drop it into that menu, and you have your camera set up for the live streaming addresses. Very easy to do the setup. If you you want to have the camera control, but you're doing live streaming, again, when you do live streaming, you will have not that preview image here. That will not exist, because we cannot do live streaming in this format and we go out with another format. But still, you have the option to go to the camera remote, and you have all your camera remote feature even on the live streaming progress. What does it mean? If you're sitting in the studio or somewhere else, somebody from external can control your camera. So if the cameraman is there, or your video journalist, maybe a friend of you, has not so much knowledge about camera, or he simply oversees something like the white balance, you will have a full external remote control over that features. Furthermore, we have an option for metadata, as I explained you before. You can make a title description, a second title description, the total description information about over 2,000 characters, and for example the creator. It's very easy to edit this feature. You can have that per FTP transfer in, or you can edit it here manually, and then when you edit something here, then all the files will have this information. If you take the SD card out, go to your NLE, all these files will have your information, what you are shooting on this day. If you make a mistake, no problem, you can change to the next menu, then the camera will change to playback, and you can see get the thumbnails of the camcorder, but here I have no media in, of course, and then you can edit the file afterwards. So it's very handy and comfortable to use this kind of remote controller. And again, you simply add the IP address of the camcorder in your browser, and it's not a dedicated app, it's just a normal web browser. So let's coming back to as last for the IP address, and on the camera section itself, we have here an information which called status information. And when I press here, you get into the menu this information, what you see here, and it gives you an overview what kind of setting you at the moment the camera will be set up, like the video informations, like the planning metadata. So if you have metadata edit, you can see it here. It's depending on your network, and this is very important, so you can see which kind of connection you have. In this here, my example, I have an access point connection, my SSID, my security level of my Wi-Fi network, my IDs, DHCP or fixed IP address, and this is the IP address which I got from the DHCP here. Well, this information is important later on when we do a remote control, for example, which just a minute ago you have seen with the tablet. So this is the IP address which I have to edit in my tablet, and then the web browser gets open. We need a login, which is in this case GVC and 4x0. Later you can change that. This is the password, the general password to go into the web browser and to do the web browsing operation, as you have seen before. There's more information. There's your general camera setting, like Saber Assist, where your levels are setting, which recording format you use, and even more. And also your user switch setting. You get an overview which buttons is used by which function, and also a graphic interface. What is your audio setup? So external, internal input, you get a very graphic overview what you are using, mono, stereo, so it's very easy information for you. So this is on the status display. So, coming back to these IP addresses, you see this is all the display information which you can switch on with the display. For example, I can switch it off, or I can select, I can do it again here, you can select which kind of information I want to see here on the LCD or on the viewfinder. For the IP technology, it's important, these signs which we have here on top. You see this is the network sign. When it's white and no flashing, no blinking, stable like this, that means we have a valid connection to a network. We get an IP address, and then basically the camera is ready to go. If that is white and flashing, means the adapter is not usable or there is no adapter connected. When it's get yellow, then it means we have an adapter is found, but we not get an IP address. That could be certain reason, of course, firewalls, etc. All these basic network things you have to know about. Regarding using the dongle, the Wi-Fi dongles, the GSM adapters, or the cable network adapters, this is exactly similar like the GY HM650 and GY HM850. When you go to our website, we have an updated list of which dongle you can use, because any dongle, and as is usual, when you buy a dongle, you get a driver. And same for the GSM, you get drivers, and it must be installed on the PC. The same thing here, but this is a camcorder, not a PC, so you cannot install just a DVD and put the driver into that. So that we have to do from the factory point of view, and therefore we have a selection of dongles, and then we have a list which kind of dongle you can use. Please, before you use a dongle, have a look to the list if the dongle is mentioned. You can try, there's no worries. You can try, if the connection is work, it's fine, and then will be nice that you give us a report, hey guys, or to me, and say, hey Gustav, there is an adapter which I already use, that works fine with my camera, but it's important which kind of manufacturer, which hardware chip is in. For example, which is a UI chip or any other chip set which is in. It's written on the dongle, by the way, or in the description. Let us know this so we can add that to the list and give also other customers more options to buy a dongle. Of course, time by time we will edit this. IP addresses. When we talk about IP addresses, let's look quickly to that status display, and coming back to the IP addresses, which I mentioned to you. When we go to a 3G network and we have a valid connection, we will get an IP address. The difference to a normal network like a Wi-Fi network or like a fixed cable network is that on the GSM we not get an official IP address. That means we got an IP address which is going for outside, but we cannot reach the camcorder, so we have no control. This is a European issue, or countries in the European area. This is the reason of the IP4 network, because there's not enough IP addresses. And if you want to have a fixed IP addresses which you can read from outside, you have to talk with your provider to get an official IP address, which is a fixed IP address that the camera can be reached from outside. So if you want to do professional work and you want to use GSM, and you want to have a fixed address, by the way, it's only necessary when you want to do a control to the camera. Just for streaming or FTP transfer, it's not necessary, but just for the control, then you must talk with the provider and maybe cost some extra for that service. Well, let's have at the end, let's have a look to the USB host again. So I'm going to put that here into the front. Here's our Wi-Fi dongle. So now let me remove that. So there's our USB host, and here on my table you can see this is, compared in my hand, this is a small dongle which I use. It could be also a bigger one. So when we want to go to the network, we can use an adapter which we have here, like this, and here Ethernet adapter like to USB. Simply connect that to the unit, and of course there must be also a dedicated one which is also on the list, and then you make the connection set up and you can go to a network. Again, we have 12 megabit per second over UDP. That could be a great option for some event place to have a live image from one point to the other point when you have an external decoder connected. The other option, the most usable and the benefit for that one, is to use an adapter. You see this is rather big. This is an LTE adapter, and when it rises in this area, so you can connect it here, moved it up, so and then you have your LTE network. If you have a different dongle which is maybe too big to handle, then you can, all this normally these larger size of dongles have an extension cable, so you can do an extension cable and maybe you move it then up to the top of the top here of the handle, for example. Well, with this case like this, I can go stream directly to the web, to Ustream and YouTube, and there's a big benefit, directly everything built in this camcorder. So ready to use for everybody who want to do web TV, like churches or some other events which you like, special events like a wedding. You want to have your, for example, you go to the wedding, you want to have that your family which not can join your party and want to see that somewhere else, you can open a Ustream channel and directly put that camera, for my parents better on the tripod, put it, and everybody can enjoy that wedding, for example. Just an example. Well, and finally, let's come back to our SD cards, because we want to record here 4K, and I mentioned you before, you need a little bit different SD-XC or the SD-HC cards. And let me take this baby here, put it in front. This is only the reason that you can see better the cards. And let's have a few to the SD cards here, which everybody knows. Let me put them here on front. Oops. So, I guess, no? Okay. So, let's move that over there. So, let's go. So, this is the white one here is a regular SD card as usual, but you see here is something special. You see the small number on this is number class 10. The classification of an SD card is a quality information. Quality information class 10 means it holds a certain limit of speed. You have to understand, when the SD card is empty and you start the recording, then the recording is, or the writing speed is very fast, and as more to end of memory, it gets slower and slower and slower. And that's depending on the class which you have. So the memory, for example, 16 gigabyte is the same gigabyte as you have a class 4, but the difference is really the writing speed to it, the continuous writing speed to it. And this is what we have to take care. It's not the speed level itself, it's the continuous speeding right from the beginning up to the end. That needs to be held a certain level. As I mentioned to you, and you can see here, for example, on this card is 80 megabit reading speed, but normally you have to look into the documentation, what is the writing speed. This is more important for us, the writing speed. But anyhow, for these new SD cards here, you get up 60 megabit, 80 megabit, 120 megabit, 280 megabit reading speed. And that gets price-wise quite from acceptable price up to a very expensive price. For example, if I take an SD card, 60 Mbit reading speed, and it has 64 gigabyte, that costs around about 40 euro. And when I take the same card with 280 megabit reading speed, it takes me 120 euro. But this is not necessary to do the 4K recording, because we're writing with 150 megabit, 50 megabit per second. And the writing speed on this typical card is around about 30 megabyte per second, so there's enough headroom. So it's not needed to use the top end. The only thing what you have to take care is the numbering or the identification on the card. So in this case is UHA, you see class 10, and U3, that's U. So UHS 1-3, that's the type where you have to look for. And make sure that's USA 1 class 3. It's a little bit confusing because normally we say class 4, class 6, class 10. Why not class 11, 12, and 13? Well, they make the decision, they're not name it 13. So in this case, they say it's class UHA 1-U3. Yeah? So, and that is actually is 13. And so that is what you have to look for. It must be a U3 on that value. And keep in mind when we're looking to the backside of the SD cards, let me turn around, because there are also some other new cards on the market. So you can see the connection is identical. This is important. There are also some cards have very high speed card. They have additional pins here. This is not needed. It can be not read it anyway. So this is the standard SD cards. The only what you have to take care is here the classification. So any class 10 is fine for any normal HD recording up to 60p recording, 1080i. This is no problem at all. But if you want to do 4K recording, then make sure you have a UHS 1-3 SD card. Yeah? From the price, it's a little bit more expensive, but of course, okay, it has higher speed and continuous speed on this card. That's the quality aspect. Which type of SD card or manufacturing? It should be a good named SD card like here, Toshiba, ScanDisk, Transistor, or Panasonic, or ScanDisk, or something, anything of that. It should be not a no name. It should be a named SD card to make sure that your content is safe recorded. This card has a big benefit. That's why we're using, what I mentioned before, you can buy it everywhere, and also this is full covered. There are no pins which can be broken, and full covered. Last time I lost one of these cards into my pocket. It goes to the washing machine, and still after that, still usable. Still my content is there. So that's very, very reliable. The only thing is to take care that you not lost this small cards. But frankly speaking, if the card is a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, by the way, it doesn't take care. So at the end of the day, you have here, you can have a nice pocket, which you can see here. It's a nice pocket where you can put your SD card in, and it's very safe into a box, which you can buy in an electronic store. Yeah, that was a short overview on the new HM200. If you would like to have more detailed information about it, we have already the pricing, etc. announced on the sales information. Ask your dealers or our sales staff, and also we have the pre-information already on the website. But not the instruction right now. Keep in mind the product comes in March, and to that time we will have also instruction manual there for the people who wants to know every detail on this. So tomorrow we have another very short webinars. It's just an explaining of the latest firmware update which we have for the Jiva HM600, 650, 850 and 890, which is the new picture improvement, the enhanced feature that I'll give you very, very brief. So it takes about 15 minutes. Also just a webinar if you like to look in. The times are on the website. Again, next bigger, larger webinar will be the Jiva LS300, which is the new compact or similar chassis or equal chassis with the super 35mm sensor. A very exciting product for production and creative people. So see you next time, and thank you for listening, and maybe up to tomorrow or latest on 3 and 4th of February. Okay, take care, bye bye, God bless you.